Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriot Crusader Missions Christian Warrior Talk, the Christian fellowship show where we come together on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern to invest in each other, to learn from our victories, from or celebrate our victories, learn from our setbacks, and be there for one another. This is from Patriot Crusader Mission, a church, farm, and ministry in the free state of Tennessee, just outside of Johnson City. I am Pastor Jason Perry, and this is my amazing, incredible, epic, patient wife, Lauren.
Oh, wow. Don't need to introduce myself after that. Am I throwing you for a loop here? You've been doing this by yourself for a few weeks in a row.
Yeah, I'm always welcome to have you back. And I'm sure people are going to be happy to have you back. Looks like Louie's here. Hey, good to see you, Louie. Facebook user, hello, y'all. Can't tell who you are. For some reason, it's not bringing your name over. Linda, good to see you. Man, what a great show on the Hope Report today. What was the thing that surprised you the most? Putting her on the spot.
Do you want to share what
Sure,
the Hope Report was
sure.
before
It's
you,
Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy.
before you ask me that?
So that's she's stalling for time. But I had on heavy metal singer, powerhouse frontman, Tommy Vext on, who's a patriot, a fellow Christian, and he's a deep thinker, man. Deep thinker. He's humble, and it was a really incredible hour and 45 minutes or so that we did.
A long one.
I know he was whole. He had to pee real bad or something because I was like, "Hey, hold on."
Like,
yeah, exactly. But what a great dude. I made another brother today, another friend, and it was a great time. I really enjoyed it.
So now do you want me to go?
Yeah. So what
All
was
right.
your
So
most surprising day?
I will say I was able to focus on probably at least the first hour plus. As you guys got towards the end, when you started getting into a little bit more like politicky stuff, I just got pulled away. So, but I will say that kind of going into the interview and from doing quick like online research of is Tommy Vext a Christian, up until very recently, kind of everything that he put out there and quotes from him and stuff, he was kind of wishy-washy and like, I believe in the spirit, like kind of not very convincingly a Christian. So to know that he very recently was born again, and I mean, just how convincingly he speaks and how strong of an influence it is now in his life and how he, I think kind of just hearing that pivot, as is often the case when people are truly have an experience with Jesus, and he definitely did in a very interesting way. So I think it's kind of hearing his testimony up until that point and knowing how recent it was.
Yeah, I think 2020 was when he came back to his faith. He was raised loosely in a Lutheran church. As a kid, not really having his own faith, fell away hard. And, during the pre-interview, I had to figure out if he was even like, here I have this famous guy. And because I had heard 2 snippets on Instagram, and one was him talking about praying for his enemies.
Yeah.
And people who've done him wrong. And then the other one was talking, him praying to be sober. And then, there were some other things I saw. So I'm like, oh, he's definitely Christian. And then I'm doing my research and I'm like, nowhere does it say he's a Christian. And I'm like, well, I need to get him on the record if he's a Christian. And that's the first thing.
Going on to your Christian show.
Yeah. So, before the show, I said, hey, I don't want to cause you, to stumble in your walk or your faith. I need to know, is Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior? You're a Christian. He's like, absolutely. Thank you for asking. Really appreciate you asking that.
Yeah.
So, without a doubt, Tommy Vex is a Christian. Is he working through his sanctification? Yes.
Sure.
As Louis said, I was completely impressed. And, I listened to one of his earlier interviews and he left LA. He talked about that on the show. God spoke to him in his car and said he was pulling in the traffic on the highway. And he's like, get off the next exit, go home, pack and leave. And he did. And he went to Nashville. It took him a few weeks to get there. He went on a spiritual journey, where he was going around and, went to churches and a bunch of other things. And
well, that's obedience though.
Yeah. And then he went to Nashville, trying, being a conservative state, et cetera, et cetera. And he said in that place that he couldn't stay in Nashville because the only things to do in Nashville was drink and country music. And he was not all that into country music.
Yeah.
And he's a sober guy. So believe it or not, he went to Vegas. He said he went to Vegas because you don't have to drink in Vegas. And if you don't gamble, you don't have to gamble in Vegas. He said, you've got every restaurant you ever want. You got like 7 zoos, 2, giant aquariums. You've got shows every night. There's no end of whatever. And, for a guy, I mean, that's who he is, for me, that'd be hell.
Yep.
Nice seeing you this week. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Tube Guy, good to see you. 1975 or 1975. What was your favorite part of the interview? I'll tell you mine.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
His humbleness.
So just overarching.
Yeah, he was very humble, and and what I typically find is that people who are massive sinners in their past forgive way easier than the people who aren't. And that goes to the line in the Bible, the verse in the Bible, he who is forgiven much forgives much. And when you've been terrible, like I've been terrible, he's been terrible, there's nothing you won't forgive. Particularly somebody with a repentant heart.
Yeah, he was a very engaging communicator. And I enjoyed just, how the description in which he, he shared his death experience and just, it's such a fascinating story and he tells it well and he's humorous.
Yeah, I think I laughed more in that interview than I've laughed in a while.
The two of you played off very well together.
Yeah.
So I think it was just very enjoyable to listen to. So I'm guessing that's Jamie said, a strong man is often hard to battle with the temptations and obstacles you come up against. Excellent interview this afternoon.
Well, he is a funny guy. He had I've dove into his, his Instagram world, whatever. And he was showing, it was like, because he's in Vegas, right? So Vegas, you got all the pretty people in the gym, right? He's in a high octane gym and he's talking about, there's this thing now where all these like OnlyFans models who work out and like show all their body parts and this and that and, all that. They go to the gym and they set up cameras and try to catch guys watching them work out. So they're all videotaping themselves work out. Guys are just trying to get a workout. And if there's a butt in your face, what are you going to do? You do whatever. And they made some comments. So he goes to the gym and he like shows her a quick snap angle and there's like something there. And he takes like an extra piece of clothes, puts it in his hat so it's hanging over his head. And he's working. I laugh. So I am so glad I'm not in the gym where everyone's like recording.
Yeah.
That is just ridiculous.
Everybody's setting up, stuff to record.
Well, everyone's a fitness model. Everyone, any girl who's ripped and got a good body now knows they can get a Facebook following. If they put on 14 layers of makeup, wear everything that just barely covers, the skimpiest clothes that you possibly can.
The essentials.
Yeah. Everything that makes it barely legal, and you'll get 100,000 YouTube followers.
Yep.
And so it was pretty funny. I
There
really
was
loved
the-
how he had some great analogies. Like he called, like his analogy of the Lord of the Rings was hilarious.
Yeah, what was that in context to? I didn't.
He
catch
said
the
it was a
beginning of
drug.
that.
It was a thing about the drug deal, like a drug culture, right? Again, it was a Christian story, and they're fighting evil. But he's like, there's this. They're all, Frodo's got the drug.
Yeah.
He's the drug dealer. He's got the ring, and it's small and it's powerful. But they'll all go with him everywhere he's going.
Okay, so
And it
he's
feels like
relating
the way
that
to the
the-
world. It's just a ring, but it's
To
the
a
way to the
drug,
world.
okay.
But it's it's sin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's what it's supposed to be, sin. But and he's like, look, he's got a bunch of midgets with him. This, a dwarf and elf, and this. He's like, totally. Yeah, and I just laughed so hard. It was just he had some really good analogies. It shows a bright mind.
Yeah, you
Um,
can definitely pick up on that.
And so, and a great conversationalist,
And he, I mean, you, especially as you guys got kind of more into politics and he kind of pushed back on you and some of your
yeah.
thoughts, and so he wasn't afraid to do that. What did you think of that? Just kind of that part of the conversation.
Well, whenever you're the host, and particularly when you're interviewing somebody who's more famous than your show,
Yeah.
right? So, for example, when I was interviewing Ken Ham,
Hmm.
Ken Ham, Ken Ham is a big name in the Christian world. He, has the Ark. He has multiple books. He has the Creation Museum. He was doing us a favor by coming on the show. We actually had somebody else who has an opposing view who wanted to ambush him on the show.
Right.
And ask him all these. And I'm like, I'm absolutely not going to do that to somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Which
doing
is
me a solid.
ridiculous.
I'm going to
Yeah.
come on. And I knew I was going to come into conflict with him on several issues.
Mm-hmm.
One, I respect the heck out of him. And I think he's done a lot of great work for the world.
100%. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
We're totally out of focus. Can you tap on my face? See how we're kind of blurry? It's focused on the shield behind us.
Okay.
Like that. It's
Well,
supposed
I'm wearing PJs, guys. So
to- all
just
right, so
bear with
it's
me.
not Santa
It's not
PJs.
Santa. Nobody here knows about Santa PJs anymore. It's
Yeah.
a different crew.
Yep,
Just plaid.
just plaid. Thank you. So anyways, when you have someone like Ken Ham on or Tommy Vext or somebody, we're not the Tonight Show. We're not whatever. People aren't, they're coming here to boost their stuff. And it does, we do have an audience base on multiple Christian TV stations and all that stuff. But, you got to be polite. You got to be nice. And you got to I let them have all the advantages.
Sure.
Right. So I'm going to treat them with kindness, but I'm not going to necessarily, there are things that I'll challenge them on that it's a
Debate
core
things
belief.
to death,
Like when Tommy brought up the disease thing several times, that addiction was a disease, but he never used it as an excuse. Right. Because Melissa and I talked after the show and I said, yeah, I didn't call him on the disease thing. And she's like, well, he never used it as an excuse. The reason why we don't like addiction as a disease is it takes away all your power.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's not what he did. So, and then, I would go at things a little bit harder than he would. He's a lot kinder and softer dealing with that. And I think that's because of his fan base.
Okay.
His fan base is guys like me, but I think he might have some other people out there on the fringes as well. And
That's his experience. So he might be knowing kind of what would have worked for him or with other people that he knows.
Sure. And, but I said, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. I can see, and when he brought up a point like the 12-step program, when I pushed in and said, yeah, they have de-Christified, and Christianized the 12-step program.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I actually think that's a good thing. And it was the first time I've ever heard somebody say that. And, historically, because I said what we typically say is that, they've taken Christ out of it. So it's nowhere near as potent as it used to be.
And, I
and it
can't
was
remember, what
written
his
for, and his thing
articulation for
was,
last bit?
well, I don't think I would have processed it, if it was hardcore Christian. Says it
It
appeals
reaches
to a
different
broader audience, and
Yeah.
if you're a Calvinist, that might be what quickens the Holy Spirit in you.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about higher power, and you're on your way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough one. I can see a point in there. I'm not sure I agree with it, but that was the first time I've heard anyone
And
say
then
that.
did he push back on your Thanksgiving table tips?
Yes, yeah,
He didn't
said
think that you should kind of give things a pass like that?
yeah. Well, no, he didn't say things pass like that. He was saying to be more compassionate and saying, "Hey, I'd love to talk to you about that. Really, you think that?"
But wanting to more engage in a conversation versus just saying, I disagree, that we can move on in the conversation.
Yeah, well, he wanted to be more empathetic with the person and say, "Really, you believe that way? I would love to hear why."
Okay.
Not saying that you disagree. And I
Gotcha.
completely disagree with that tactic. I think you have to let other people at the table know that you don't agree with that.
I think it depends on, I think you guys, and this is for the situation example that Jason talks about a lot on kind of the how do you handle social situations where it might not be appropriate to get into a debate, but you also don't want to let something stand that you don't agree with. So the advice just being, say, I don't agree with that, but we can move on, essentially.
Yeah.
And so I think you guys were just kind of approaching that scenario, like your thing is to not blow up the meal or whatever circumstance.
Not to blow up the
it
meal
is.
and not to let a
And-
lie go unchallenged.
Right. Whereas his way of handling it would end up to be a bigger conversation.
A bigger private
Because if that
conversation.
person then explains their point of view, he should still need to explain his in order to kind of rebut it.
Right.
So
Right.
it will turn
So
into
I
that
think- I think-
meal-dominating conversation.
Well, but I think he was saying to do it later.
Do it in private.
Yeah, to do it in private, in a private, personal conversation, rather than in the forum of a table.
Mhm.
And my point is, my thing you could definitely do that, but the point is to let everyone know at that
Everyone know.
table that there is not consensus.
Yeah.
Like, someone says there's 129 genders, in passing conversation, to say, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I don't believe that at all."
Mhm.
We don't have to talk about it. I don't want to interrupt anyone's meal, but I just don't want you to think that that's the only point of view out there.
Sure.
And then move on with your
Mhm.
dinner. So,
Yeah.
So anyways, but again, I thought it was a great conversation. I felt like I made a friend,
Mhm.
and and I hope to interview him or talk to him or whatever in the future.
I just saw Melissa's post that she got Donna on for tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. And I don't know if Donna's listening right now, but that'll be a great one. We'll have to
Yeah,
listen later.
I'm sad I'm not going to be there for Donna's because I adore Donna.
Has Donna been on yet, or is this gonna be her first time?
Our first time.
Oh, okay.
So I really wish I could have been there. For that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they'll have a great conversation.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, do you want to give a baby update?
Are you ready to pivot? That's because
Yeah.
it's a hard pivot.
Yep.
Okay. So most of you probably have updates from Jason's Bible study and stuff. We are going for a kind of a follow-up ultrasound. I had one last week that showed that the baby was alive, which was the most important part, but that I had kind of like a placental hemorrhage, essentially, that was causing the bleeding that could still result in miscarriage, kind of within the first trimester, increases the risk, generally resolves on its own. Lesser cases, it gets worse and would eliminate my potential of having a home birth again. So the biggest prayer right now, other than the baby not miscarrying, is that this doesn't kind of mess with my birth plans. I have a follow-up ultrasound tomorrow with more of a specialist. The first one I just did at a local hospital just to get it in. And so we'll have the ultrasound and then kind of a consult right after to talk about what they see and any more details on kind of how to manage it. I no one had originally told me that I needed to kind of back off my workload. Um,
Thank you,
Thank
Jubia.
you. And so I asked my midwife, I was like, should I be like not lifting the 50-pound feed bags and the 5-gallon water buckets and all that stuff? She was like, yeah, I had no idea you were doing that. You definitely shouldn't. So I'm having to back off that, which has been a complicating factor in just how I accomplish the farm work. I've had to humble myself to ask for help from my dear husband here to do things that I technically can do. So it's been a good experience for me, but it's also making kind of efficiency be harder. So I'm just praying that that's not a long, like a full pregnancy thing, and or that it doesn't turn into something worse, like bed rest would be just catastrophic for our farm function.
Yeah, we'd have to sell the farm.
So praying it, like I'll suck up having to ask for help with the feed bags if I have to, as long as it prevents bed rest. But yeah, so praying for good news. I had gone. So my first 2 episodes of symptoms were first on a Wednesday and then on a Monday. So it was at like 5 days apart. And then I went a full week, and I was pretty optimistic that that meant good things. And then I had another round of symptoms yesterday. So I don't know if they'll see progress or worsening or whatever tomorrow. Curious to see. But Jason's coming. It's about an hour away. So Jason's skipping the show tomorrow to come with me, which is good. Louis, yes, I'm going on a progesterone supplement. They tested it, and it's generally in range, but a little low. So I'm not sure if that's a direct related cause or just kind of a side thing.
We really do appreciate your prayers.
Yeah.
They mean a lot to us. For everyone who's reached out to us individually, we really appreciate that. So, you know, we thank you. And, this is going to be a day by day thing, day by day, week by week thing. I don't think we're going to be able to take it for granted the whole way home, all the way to delivery. And, I think this ride is just getting started for us.
Yeah, well, I know that I should expect to have more days of kind of bleeding and symptoms like that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's still like I was unnerved again and disappointed again yesterday. At least I knew that as long as it didn't get worse, that it wasn't anything wrong with the baby. So I had that kind of peace of mind, but as long as there's days of bleeding that still happen, that also means that it's not resolving. So prayerfully, kind of within this first trimester, which I'm at 8.5 weeks right now, so still really early on, that it wraps itself up. And in the meantime, I will ask my husband to lift all the heavy things.
It's great seeing Lauren so fragile.
He's loving that word. Loving that word. Fragile is the worst word in the dictionary. Louis said, so ex-wife had a problem with miscarriages, with progesterone. She was finally able to carry to term. We went from 0 to 3 kids. That's wonderful. Really works. You need to rest, totally rest. No work, slow move. I'll agree with the progesterone stuff. No work, slow movements. That'll be rough. Farm work aside, I don't think I could do bed rest with the kids, with Anya. Are you kidding?
At least she's
how do you
slower.
do that?
She's a slow mover, at least.
She is?
Yeah, I mean, she's not B.
Yeah, well, but just, yes, there's not much resting.
I mean, is there anything wrong with Benadryling the crap out of our
Just
kid?
like 9 months worth of Benadryl.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a CPS situation.
Probably.
We should probably retry. We're not going to do it. We promise.
We're joking. Joking. Yeah, but no, as far as things going on the farm, the homestead, man, we got a busy week. We got a calf due any day from Karen.
Yeah, Karen, her due date, as far as I calculated it, is the 18th, so Saturday, and that might be give or take, a day or two. So very often, especially she's a seasoned cow now. She lost her first baby last year, which is
Hey, Brandy.
somewhat common. But now that she's open is the term, her delivery should be pretty smooth. So often you just go out in the morning and there's going to be a baby there. So that's what we're praying is the case. Hopefully it waits
Or it
until Sunday
happens
when it's a
in-
little warmer.
Yeah, right now we have, no, our Saturday, Sunday are miserable.
Oh, Sunday's miserable too? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
it's okay.
So
Yeah,
um,
maybe she can wait until Monday.
hopefully she does it during the day
Yeah.
when it's warm, because we got some decent days. Hold on, let me.
So anyway, so, and we're not educated, equipped for emergencies, as far as if it's apparent that there's something wrong. One
So-
of my egg customers lives down the road, and her husband used to be a large animal vet. He doesn't have the equipment really anymore, but he has the knowledge. So if he's available, he said he'd be willing to come over and kind of help with straightforward issues, which is nice to know. But, I mean, we don't like, there's braces and stuff that you can like put chains around their legs, and then you put the kind of the brace on the back of the cow's legs or booty and basically ratchet them out. We don't have that. So
But we do have a winch.
yeah. So we're just going to pray that Karen, at least she's our first one to go, and she's done this before, so we pray that she's easy. The ones I'm nervous about are Nugget, which according to my dates is just a couple weeks after that, and then Pixie is within a month of that as well. So those two are heifers, so first-time mamas, and are more likely to have issues.
Yeah. So we have Friday, 92% chance of rain. I have
The
61.
rain is not it's the
Low of
cold.
31.
At least the cold nights are
Um,
dry.
Saturday, a low of 22.
Yeah.
High of 45. Sunday, low of 21. High of 39. Monday,
Yeah.
52.
Yeah. This baby
28.
will be getting a chilly start, and then it goes up.
And then we're out of it.
So, anyways, it's exciting. The only thing that we've had, well, no, I was going to say the only thing born has been chicks, but now we've had pigs too. So, but
We lost
is a-
3 of those.
which is very typical with the pig litters. It seems rare for anybody to say they have 100% success rate on their piglets, but the cows, since it's just one, if you lose the one, it's a much bigger deal, and it's
Yeah,
9
you're
months
ba- you're-
versus pigs are
you're
4
back a
months.
year.
So, and
You're
then
set back a year.
yeah, in worst case, you lose your cow as well in the process. So I'm sure at some point we'll be dealing with emergencies and tragedies and such, but we're just praying it's not our first round of it.
Praying the Lord protects us, as he has so much throughout all this process. I mean, we've been blessed beyond belief to avoid catastrophe on many of our own mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm milking on the side of the
Many.
field with kids and everything else, and the whole herd there, and to all kinds of things. God has been merciful and has protected us through all this.
And Louis said, I thought most Karens were in Washington, D.C. Yeah, well, she was acting like one, so therefore the name. Bitter cold up here in the Virginia Blue Ridge, went down to 19 this morning, windy too. Yeah, it's the wind that was cold here. Well, no, yeah, this morning was okay. Yesterday morning was really cold.
Yeah,
with
they
the
get
wind.
the next. They're usually the next day. from us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been, we've been like, we got flowers over all of our trees. We got tulips and everything else budding.
It's so great. You go from doing chores and shorts and a t-shirt to bundled
being
as
hot.
bundled as you can get. Yeah.
Yeah, to gloves
Yeah,
and,
but it's a
a,
weird
and,
time of
a,
year.
and a hat again.
Yeah.
So anyways, we still haven't gotten the crane up. It just was too wet. And it looks like Friday is going to be really wet and Saturday is going to be freezing. So I don't think that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the next week.
Reprieve.
And the good news is our pond went dry again, thank God,
Yeah.
where the pig goes. So we'll be able to move them back.
Yeah, we're right now, because any update on the side-by-side?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
from
so
them.
we're out our Ranger right now, which is how we get our feed and our water back to the pigs. So it's kind of a dance on, do we move the pigs back before we have that? As far as ease of taking care of them. So right now they've been happy. They're going to really miss their zhuzh accommodations. They've been enjoying their
They were
shelter
kicking it in the
with
palace today.
Yeah. So, hi, Andy. So I think they'll be happy to be kind of a new territory, but they will miss their condo. And then we're weaning the piglets this weekend. They're 8 weeks on Friday, so Peg gets to give her boobies a break and go back and be with the big pigs and go be bred again.
Yeah, because Bubbles ain't.
Yeah, and then the babies we were trying to sell too, because we decided that we didn't really need all 5 to grow out, and having cash on hand is a good thing. But so far, nobody's taken them. So if anyone
we had
wants
some.
a red wattle, let us know.
Yeah, if you want an amazing red wattle, like our boar and our female are epic.
Yeah.
Like Peg is really nice. Both are from 2 completely different breeders in North Carolina that are really great. We are really happy with them. And I mean, it's just been awesome.
Yeah. So anyone local who wants a pig.
Yeah, the problem is we can't, well, not problem. They will be for meat because the 3 boars that we have are no longer intact.
Yeah, so I don't think they count as, they're not as
They're not boar
anymore,
then, right? So whatever a gelded pig is.
Yep. So they're feeder pigs.
Yeah, they're feeder pigs. And
so
then
we're looking to sell either the 2 boys or a boy and a girl. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But we're keeping one girl, at least one girl.
Come take it.
Come take it, Andy.
Come take it.
You can have a family pet.
Yeah.
You know, are we going to start doing incubator chicks?
As soon as we get that incubator, I'll check. I mean, we should have one within a couple of weeks. We'll do a test run. So we kept back, down to 16 now, I guess, 15 or 16 of the Ranger hens. And we're going to keep 2 of the Ranger roos. And we're going to see what we get for eggs from them. They're laying really well, but they are a hybrid breed themselves. So technically, they don't reproduce identical Freedom Ranger offspring. They will be some characteristics of them. So in my mind, if those breeds combined make a good meat bird, then even if they're not like identical, they should still be decent. And probably at least good enough for us. So very curious on that, because the biggest downside of the meat birds is you have to buy them every year, and it's hard to become self-sufficient with that. So we're curious.
It might be worth going Cornish cross just to make it simple.
We'll see. I think most people seem to prefer the Rangers, but
everyone that we've had has raved about our birds and won't go back to the Freedom Rangers.
Won't go back to the Cornish.
Yeah, won't go back to the Cornish cross. As far as tourist season here in Johnson City, I don't think it's ever tourist season. We're not a tourist destination.
I would say probably like leaf peeping for like the mountains.
Yeah, I would say the fall and probably whatever NASCAR for Bristol.
Yeah, I don't
Motor
know.
Speedway. Yeah, no, we don't notice any difference here.
Depending on where you'd be wanting to stay.
Like if you're going to Gatlinburg and you're going to go to Pigeon Forge.
Andy, do you have any different opinion on that? Yeah, people come when the leaves change.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of when there was one time that like all of the hotels were booked up.
I think that was around graduation.
Yeah.
Races April and August. See, thank you, Andy. But yeah, I mean, the summertime's great, the spring's great, fall's by far the best.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, if you want to swim, come in the summer. Watauga Lake is the best. Yeah, one of the best lakes I've ever seen.
If you like hiking, then do fall.
Yeah, if you like hiking, do spring or fall. Summer is cooler here than most people would think. It's not Virginia heat.
can't remember where are you coming from. Oh, you're in Virginia.
Depending on where in Virginia is the key. It's way cooler here than it is in Charlottesville. I'll tell you that.
What were we like 10 degrees?
Yeah, about we average I think around 10 degrees
Yeah.
cooler.
Yeah.
But
Softball tournaments, but only fill up motels. Yeah, that's not going to be in most tourist destination kind of
yeah,
activities.
again, it just depends on what you want to do, tube guy. We've been seeing a lot of people. I've got a lot of requests to do a follow up on where conservatives should move. Uh, now, and it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to homestead, Tennessee is the best. North Carolina could be another option.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky could be another option. West Virginia, I don't trust it to stay red, and it's got
North Carolina.
No, that's I don't trust North Carolina or Kentucky.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going in, North Carolina,
Kentucky or West Virginia.
Kentucky. I don't
Okay.
even trust Kentucky to stay red.
Okay.
But I would say North Carolina for higher quality of living. It's more expensive over there by far. Kentucky would be more affordable. West Virginia, you got 70, 80 years.
Pushing Irwin.
I love Irwin. I would move to Irwin, but I need a lot of acres, and trying to find 40, 50 acres right now, it's out of your price range. It's out of most people's price range. We got our 44 acres with a house on it, a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch for $329.
Yeah, just about 330.
$329. Those days are long gone. Like, you can't buy land.
That's what you were saying. Land equivalent.
The land
right?
equivalent is insane right now just to buy land. Florida's too hot. Florida's way too hot. And if you're not on the beach, it's going to suck. It's flat. It's ugly. It's swamp, right? So either if you're a beach person, Florida's okay. Otherwise, Florida's hell, in my opinion. I mean, other than Ron DeSantis is your governor, which is a good thing.
Similar opinion of Texas.
Texas, outside of the liberal areas like Austin, is the only beautiful part of Texas that I've been able to see. The rest of it is tumbleweeds and astroturf and the desert. It's awful.
I don't know much about Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is just cow poop and flat forever. I mean, you drive through East Coast to West Coast, and all you're going to smell is cow poop for 8 hours. 6 hours, 8 hours when you're driving through it. South Carolina is actually really nice. That is the one where I would say it's warmer, but if you're coming out of Travelers Rest, descending into Greenville, it gets nice there.
Florida has Trump, DeSantis, and Louis, according to Louis.
And Louis.
So that makes it worth moving for.
Right. Alabama, hot as heck, but more affordable. Kentucky, cooler, more mountains, more varied terrain, more affordable, but you have some Democrats there because of the mining in the past. Mitch McConnell is a rep. But also in Kentucky, you have Rand Paul and another really solid Republican as well. Texas is a mess. Austin is horribly liberal. That's right. One nice, beautiful place in all of Texas is horrible from liberals. They've ruined it. They're locusts. Florida's a pretty big state, tube guy. The problem is, just driving north to south in that state is a day in itself.
Yeah.
It is a really big state. The problem is that everyone's going to want to stack up on the coast, and then you go inland, and then it's swamps and nastiness, man. It's just hot, 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 hot. And trust me, I lived in Florida for 4 years in Panama City in the Panhandle. And if you like beaches and drinking, it's a great time. The rest of the time, it sucks.
I know. There's people who farm there and stuff, but I cannot.
Yeah, they got a really long grow season, and it's flat.
Yeah.
Right? So that's great. But other than that, it's not pretty.
Yeah. Certainly seems it, Andy.
Well,
Can't be doing
if
anything.
if I had all the money in the world, I would actually go to Moscow, Idaho. But land there is more expensive than here.
Is that just because of Doug Wilson?
I would go
Or,
there
like, is
because
there-
Doug Wilson's there because it's seriously Republican, and it's gorgeous. And
Okay.
it's gorgeous, right? So, but it is getting invaded by Californians,
Yeah,
but and Washingtonians, Washington people.
yeah.
But the eastern half of the state is trying to break away the conservative side and trying to join Idaho, which would be a huge boom.
hmm
And both states want it to happen, so it might have a happen chance.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting.
So,
Is there a vote? Like, what is the progress on that? Do you have any idea?
I know it's moving along faster than people think. Memphis is terrible. Memphis is a war
Arkansas.
zone, and so it's horrible, horrible. In Arkansas, I wouldn't want to live there for all the
What
money
is,
in the
what
world.
is the opinion of Chattanooga?
Chattanooga is a river town. I mean, you'd have to ask Andy. I mean, it's also got some mountains right up off it. It could be a pretty cool
That's where
town,
you
and
got
it
the
dips
milking
into
machine,
Atlanta.
right?
Huh?
Isn't that where you got the milking machine?
Down by there, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was beautiful.
What's the opinion, Andy? You're the inside scoop.
So nothing cost-wise is going to be Northeast Tennessee, and even though it's getting more expensive, and all my friends who delayed, I don't know what to tell you. You know, you missed.
Lose, you lose.
Yeah, you missed your opportunity.
Yeah, what are interest rates now?
I'm not even sure.
Anybody know?
Now let me Google that.
But Tuba, are you thinking of moving? I know, so you're wanting to visit, but I can't remember what your moving status is if you were hoping to relocate from Virginia. It's very similar to Virginia, other than kind of politically how the state runs and things like
Southeast Virginia, Southwest Virginia is gorgeous.
that. Yeah.
I mean, South Virginia all along the western, southwestern part. I mean, I think it's even prettier than here, if not
There's
close to it.
some. I mean, I know that when we were
Yeah.
like, at the Abingdon.
You know, it's higher in
Yeah.
altitude actually than here. It gets a little bit more snow, which we may or may not want, but it's crazy. 7.34
Ouch.
for 30-year fixed.
Yeah, that's a little higher.
Yeah.
Well, last year when we were doing the loan, what was it, 5 or 6? Okay, what is it?
It was 5.
Yeah.
So two guys says Johnson City to Virginia is a very easy drive, depending on where in Virginia. 81 is an easy highway. It's pretty all the way down,
Mm.
right? I mean, it's the same the whole way down. It just gets warmer.
Mm-hmm. 6.99. We're not looking right now.
We're not looking, Louis. You know, I remember when I bought in 2001, my interest rate was 7.25%, and I thought I hit the lottery.
Wow.
Now I have 3.25%.
All right,
Yeah,
Tube guy,
yeah.
you've got an insider help here.
Louis can get it to you 6.99 with like a 900 FICO score. But you know, I do not regret coming here. I love being here. It is every day I am happier to be here. There are some of my friends who are not, but that's because
Grass
of
is always greener.
grass is always greener.
Well, your little grass is greener as far as kind of which town to be in and such.
Well, I look at the prepper aspect of it. Right now, we are great for convenience. We're great for resale value. We're great for potential increasing for resale value. We have great internet, great with self-service. We're convenient, 15 minutes to a trauma one medical center with a child hospital. You can't beat, I mean, we get food delivery and we got 44 acres. Like, you can't beat that. But if things were to go south,
All those conveniences
all those
become a
conveniences
problem.
become a problem. Right? That means the have-nots are going to start marching this way, and we're going to be fending them off a lot sooner.
I believe it. So the DC area is expanding out here, not cool at all. So he's, what is it, about an hour and a half west of DC.
Oh
Very
yeah.
rapid growth, houses going
Well,
up. People are not friendly
all,
anymore.
all along 81 west of DC is gorgeous. Like that's right where, what is it, 66 that shoots in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to
Andrew,
think that was beautiful.
what's your opinion of the VA?
VA here sucks, in my opinion. I've heard other people have good things. It's overcrowded.
They tout it as being a great.
Yeah, they touted
Like, that was
advantage.
one of
They
the
have a
things our
lot thing
realtor
here.
bragged about.
But you know, the other thing is Trump is no longer in office. I was in a small town, a small VA satellite place before, and when Trump got in office, I could basically go in the community for everything I wanted. I didn't have to wait for anything. But I'll tell you, the
VA here likes to think that
VA
they can
here
do it
wants
all.
you to use them, and everything takes forever. I'm answering diversity questions and all this other. The VA's woke, so I'm sure that's everywhere, right? But it's just like, they're all still masked to holy high heaven there. You got to walk in, check in, get a mask because, that's the Democrats' religion is masks. And, it's just, I hate it.
Yeah. Speaking of all of the questions, so I did my check-in for my appointment, and this clinic that we're going for tomorrow for this ultrasound is connected with a Ballad Health System, which is like the monopoly hospital around here. And so I did like my pre-check-in, and on their form, so legal sex, like how many different ways could you have to assign, like frame them? Legal sex, gender identity, sex assigned at birth, sexual orientation. Like 4 different, it's like, that's all the same thing. Like listed the drop down menu of all the options, like 4 questions on that. Like,
I torture the people that ask me
yeah.
that. Like when they ask me those questions through questionnaires of the VA, I'm like the non-insane one.
Yeah. Like, what does it look like I am?
Yeah. Oy. Where is the box for, archangel? That's what I am. I'm an archangel. Put me an archangel on there.
Well, like, how about legal? Like, no, wait. Which one would be the default? Sex assigned at birth should come first, and then you can check, like, still this instead of having to answer all of the other ones. It's just silly.
So, and they must feel ridiculous doing it because most of the people there aren't like that, unless you know who they
so
are.
You're gonna have to be nice to the
you
people.
You know who the ones that are. They stand out. They're the ones wearing 14 masks and with diamonds sparkling on their mask and everything else on there. They're very obvious to pick out. And those are the ones that you have the most fun with.
In a Christian kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the non-insane one.
Yeah.
As the hardest part of moving here is if you're in the workforce and you're working locally, is the wages. The wages here are terrible. Particularly with housing markets rising, right? The odds of you getting a job that are going to cover your mortgage are pretty small, depending on where, if you're able to work from home like I am.
If you're in medical, there's a lot of medical opportunity here.
Yeah, a lot of medical, a lot of college. There's some tech.
And there's also a huge opportunity for skilled tradesmen. Who
actually
have their reputable company come here because they're horrible just in general here.
Yeah, the Bubbas here. The Bubbas here have destroyed the reputation of tradespeople.
Like a Christian, trustworthy, reliable, skilled person here in any of the trades would do gangbusters.
Yeah. If you are a man of your word and you do good work and you get it done when you say you're going to get it done and you don't cut corners, you will crush it here.
Yeah, because generally, like
will
people ask
crush
for
your hair.
recommendations on Facebook, and everybody, like 95% people say don't do this person. Like they do list a complaint or a caution versus a
Right?
good experience.
You got a ton of
I think we've had
people.
issues with almost every tradesperson who's come in
Yeah. Yeah.
with us.
They have been awful, and coming from a family of tradespeople, where they have to do things to code and this and that. It is awful. And he will tell you that law enforcement needs a lot of help here too. That's what he's saying here. But law enforcement here pays buckets, you know, um, so, and you're
I-
going to get in a lot of shootouts.
There's a lot more going on here than we knew about.
Yeah, I was really, the one thing I would say that surprised me about this place was the volume of crime.
Mhm.
The volume of crime that has gone up. Well, I guess it's everywhere around the country, but I mean, there's a crazy murder, stupid meth crime, sex offender stuff going on everywhere. Now, I assume it's going on everywhere, but it's, we didn't expect to see that here. So, arm up, be ready, and don't hang out with meth heads. Teaching jobs, I have no idea because we're homeschoolers.
Yeah, I don't know anything about kind of quality of pay or anything.
I don't know anything about Johnson City, New York.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that like this is a war zone. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when I was doing my research for crime, it has gone up since I've looked. I don't know if it's all the transplants. I don't assume that. I assume it's the tough economy, things going up, drugs. With
Yeah,
drugs are everywhere.
Most of the headlines seem drug related.
Oh, crime is here, just like crime is in your town right now.
And I do see like moms posting in Facebook once a month, maybe like either a personal story or a story of a friend of like attempted abduction of kids or like creepo following them in a store, like that. So kind of the trafficking, which is pretty common around the 81 corridor. It's my understanding, right? So it's like,
Yeah,
that's definitely a thing.
most trafficking of kids in Tennessee is done by family members. It's overwhelming statistically. They sex traffic their own family members to raise money. Great community support. I don't know. I haven't had much of that, Andy. Andy works in the small town of Irwin. I'm sure he doesn't have nearly the drama that Johnson City has. Irwin is a really small town, super cute. I love it. Again, if I could pick this farm up and move it 10 more miles down the road, I'd be happier. But, but Irwin is great. And, the mountains start getting pretty close though, right? And your yard stops being flat, right? Or rolling hills and starts becoming pretty drastic. So again, depending on what you want to do with your land, if you want it to be straight like this, the closer you get to the mountains, then, you're paying for acreage you can't use.
Yeah.
Right. If you like almost all of our land is usable.
Some immediately and some with little work. But yeah.
Yeah. So again, you got to take that into consideration.
So Andrew says, aside from crime and lower wages, what are some other cons to moving to this region?
I don't know. I can list all the bonuses. I mean,
I'd say so.
There's about 40 bonuses and those two downsides. The other side, and you're going to find this in any neighborhood, it's hard to break into a friend group here with the locals. Locals hang out with anybody who's like, same thing in Boston. It's hard to make friends in Boston because they're hanging out with people they've been with since
there
kindergarten.
are so many new people now that it's not like you're the only new person with all of the generational people here.
Yeah, and he's correct. He said people drive crazy here. And the other thing here, which people are going to probably not agree with me, is there's no state inspection. So you can drive any hunk of junk on the road and be a danger to everyone. And I don't agree with that. I don't think you should be able to drive on the road with 100% bald tires, endangering everyone around you, and you're going down the highway, you hit, and it's raining, and you hit the brakes, and you kill the family in front of you.
Some of our minor gripes when we first moved here. So we moved from Charlottesville, Virginia. Grocery stores.
Yeah,
were
finding the
initially, like,
grocery stores that you.
we did the Publix opened shortly after we moved, and that's
Yeah.
kind of been the best option. It's more expensive, but that's been the best quality. Restaurants aren't all that great here.
Yeah, the
A lot
restaurants are
of
the
people have
suck.
a different opinion on that, but it's been harder to find restaurants. But we
Yeah.
haven't tried a lot of them, so we're only speaking from our small little bit of experience.
Yeah. Yeah, the restaurants here have been, compared to a foodie area, the restaurants are lacking.
And then the other biggest kind of, and we've talked about this before, it's kind of negative surprise was you think you're moving to the Bible Belt where there's church on every
Yeah.
corner and everybody's going to be kind of the same, I don't want to say caliber like it's a measuring contest, but like live it out Christian. And as with every other place,
Yeah,
most people aren't.
there's a lot of Christian
but
light
I
here.
think that the perception, or people like to think they are here more.
Yeah, I'd
so
say
it was-
probably 95% think they're Christian, and probably 25%.
and
are.
yeah, so kind of doing the church shopping thing was a disappointing experience. A lot of judging, jealousy, pettiness, and stuff within the church crowd as they're trying to kind of sort out newcomers and stuff like that. And it's just turned into kind of a negative experience there, which is partly why we have our home church now. And I'm sitting next to Pastor Dacian.
But the people that you do make friends with here, most of them are transplants, and you're going to make great friends.
And they're here for the same reasons.
And they're here, they're fleeing, communism, and they're here to hold the line with you, which is great. Locals that you do make friends with, you're going to be family to them quickly. That part is great. You can't beat the climate. You can't beat the growing season. You can't beat the affordability. You can't beat the nature, the beauty. It is really run down. There is a ton of opportunity here because it is still so poor here. There are houses that have no business being still standing, right? They would be condemned in a lot of places and torn down. There are places with dirt floors and all kinds of stuff that are just, you drive by and you're just like, holy smokes, people are still living like that. Like you drive right over the border in North Carolina and you have 3 nice towns right in a row. And then you descend into Tennessee and it gets poor and run down real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but nothing in the negatives comes close to outweighing
nothing.
all of the positive reasons.
I thank
here.
God every day for being here. And if everything burns in, the neighbors that I have made, the farmers that I've met, like we've got.
Yeah, all the kind of the old school, been there, done that farmers on kind of in this area have been so kind.
Yeah, the farm folk are just happy you're farming.
If
too.
you're humble,
yeah,
and you appreciate their wisdom, they've been so generous with sharing what they know and their resources. And I think Jason came in the other day because we have someone, he's a neighbor-ish, and he's now doing our hay for us. And he came over and kind of checked out what he was. And Jason came in and said, well, that was so reaffirming to have, because he complimented like what we had going on here. And so for someone who's been doing it for a while
somebody who's been doing it his whole life, he came over here and said, you guys are doing an amazing job over here. Because I said when, I gave him a tour, if you see something I'm doing wrong, tell me. I don't have an ego in this. I don't have identity in Farmer Jay. I want to be a farmer. I know I've only been doing this less than a year, right? So please tell me anything I'm doing wrong. And he came around, he's like, I can't see one thing. You guys are doing an awesome job.
So that was cool.
Yeah, I'm sure, Andy. I'm sure there's a lot of people who sit around on their dough.
Mhm.
Again, I'm talking about the houses that are leaking roofs, and their inside is trash bags.
Have you ever done a virtual farm tour? I think hopefully this summer, if we get cleaned up,
Mhm.
rid of mud
Yeah,
season,
yeah. So
things in
here's
their
the thing you're going to
place, we could
learn.
do that.
You're going to learn if you want to have your sanity. If you want to have your sanity, you can have a functional farm in the mud season, or you can have a clean farm in the fun season. You can't have a functional clean farm in the mud season. It's impossible,
Unless
particularly
you were like super duper duper
not
squared
unless you have a
away,
team of
and that's
sons
your
that are
only
helpful,
job.
not young children.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because we're still we're recovering from the like vomiting of explosion, like of growth
Yeah.
that we did last year.
Last year we
Most
broke
people like
ourselves. We broke
bite
ourselves
off a
last year.
little bit, recover, clean up.
This
Bite
is
off
what
a
my
little
wife's gonna
bit.
complain about me
No,
right
I'm
now.
not at all.
She's totally gonna complain
No,
about
because
me.
I would still be probably talking about chickens. Like I mean, we're very different in that, and I'm grateful we have what we have. But most people go a lot slower than we do, and so they kind of reassemble themselves before going at the next one. And we just, in looking at the state of everything, the world, and where we wanted to be, where we thought kind of security-wise we needed to be, the decision was made: grow as best we can, and we will recover on the back end. So
Yeah,
hopefully
because
this
everything was
upcoming nicer season is the recovery.
yeah, well, everything was getting more expensive, and it was all about getting it done and getting. There's a time when you start homesteading. There's lead time, like from when you're going to
Like we haven't
when.
processed a pig yet or a cow yet.
All right, so we haven't processed a pig or cow yet now. So with every type of animal, there is a lead time. Your pigs are about a year.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
unless you buy one that's halfway
Right.
grown.
Your pigs are about a year. Your cows, right? So you get a pig, you get it pregnant, and then 4 months later, so you're looking at about actually 14 months, we'll say, right? And then your chickens are about 6 months.
Our breed is 4 months from chick to egg layer, and then the meat birds were about 3 months to grow out.
All right. So
They're
you
the
look, so
fastest
4 month
growing.
lead time, 3 months for the meat birds for the Rangers, right? About from hatchling to good to go, maybe a little less because we've waited a long time to process them.
We did ours on the very end of the
So,
recommended. So
right. 2.5.
like 9 to 12 weeks is the typical processing age, and we
Okay.
did ours at 12 and a half and then 11 and a half.
Okay. So, you got, that's your shortest window. Your pigs, from buying a female and male, them maturing, having kids, and then harvesting that pig, you're still looking at, depending if you buy young, right? Cheap. So you're buying everything as young, right? You're looking at 2 years for a pig.
Well, again, you can buy a feeder though. I mean, so like
You can buy
you can
feeders,
buy
but
it,
then you
like
can
you
just
could-
buy pork from the store too. You know what I'm saying? You can buy your
it just depends on what, yeah.
yeah.
what you want.
So if you're trying to grow a program, so your pig, I'm just going to round up to 2 years. Your for you to get your first cost-free cow, right? That's cost-free pig would be the big piglets, right? Cost-free cow born on the farm that you're going to harvest. So harvesting what's born, you're talking a 3 years bit about,
Yeah.
right? So you get them, and then you get your bull, right? And if they breed right away, you're looking at 10 months,
9 plus, yeah.
right? So 10 months because there's some time in there to get pregnant. So 10 months the calf's down, and then you're looking at 18 months. So you can probably process that. So Louis, the closest city to us is Johnson City, which is about 54,000 people, I think.
The closest bigger city is Knoxville, which is
Knoxville,
just about 2 hours.
We're called the Tri-Cities. We're Bristol, Kingsport,
So we're
and
small
Johnson
cities
City.
here. Bigger city is Knoxville.
Yeah. And then Asheville is actually closer than
Yeah.
Knoxville.
Yeah.
Asheville,
I always
North
forget about Asheville.
Carolina is actually closer than that. So what my point was is I wanted to start that clock as soon as possible to where we had a self-perpetuating farm. And I knew in the beginning it was always going to look the same. It was always going to be a mess building it. But once it was there, it should be relatively self-sustaining.
Mhm.
And then the clock would be going and we would be good. And then once that cycle starts, now we're in the meat and now we're in the meat business, just like we're in the milk business. We got in the milk. We weren't really counting on that. And then boom, it was the only thing that the cows were providing.
Mhm.
Right now we got milk. We should have cheese. We haven't gotten cheese down yet.
This is the year of cheese.
Yeah.
Last year was the year of butter and ice cream.
Yeah. So milk, butter, and ice cream.
Mhm.
And that has been epic. I mean, I can't even go back to regular milk.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having multiple milk cows. And most homesteady people only have one, at least to start. And yeah, you got your dry period, and they're like, no, store milk. Some people won't even do it. They'll just go dairy free
Yeah.
or they'll find another herd share to join in for a couple of months.
And so, I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. But it's painful and expensive to start. You're not going to save any money. You don't save any money at all.
Yeah.
Until maybe you can start selling some of the extras of your product. So, again, if you have one cow and you slaughter it, well, that's for your family. Guess what? All that money you paid in, that field that you own, everything that you did, the fencing you did, all that stuff went to one cow and you ate it. Right? Now, when you harvest 2, 3, 4 cows, now one's for you and you sell the other 3 and now you're recuperating costs. It's never going to be profit, but you're recuperating cost.
Yeah, I think basically the initial goal is making it so that you are eating for free, essentially, and that other people, like right now, kind of the egg sales that I have, I'm looking at it as trying to just negate that other people pay for my chicken feed, basically.
Yeah. Well,
we're not quite there yet, but working.
If we want a church and we wanted to do what all these other small farms are doing, they're raising grass-fed beef or grass-fed grain-finished beef, and they sell them to New Yorkers for $20 a pound.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They market them and they sell them out of state to people who will pay through the teeth for clean animals.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to do that. I want to help my community. I want to help the families in this church first, then our neighbors and community around us. And that's what we're about. So we're trying to do this morally and responsibly and locally, which people here don't want to pay for anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix. It's a mix.
The out-of-towners will pay for a second. Everyone else thinks it's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You go to the grocery store and here we are, like this is where we're at, guys. Ready? We grow our own milk. So our dairy is not a problem. We have our own eggs. So eggs aren't a thing. We have our own chickens and that's still a thing. Guess what our grocery bill is? $500. $500. Why? Organic, gluten-free, blah, 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 is expensive as heck. $500. Like, that is insane.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting our feed bill for our animals.
We need to start. Yeah, I mean, because right now the only meat that we don't have to buy is the chicken. But yeah.
I mean, that's who the heck can. I mean, if we went to the dollar store, yeah, exactly. If we went to the dollar store and we ate non-organic and we ate Chef Boyardee and we ate ragu sauce, which is full of all the bad oils and all the cancer-causing agents and everything you're not supposed to eat, right? The GMO, the this, the that, every bad thing in the world, high fructose corn syrup, all that stuff is dirt cheap. Mm-hmm. If you want to eat like 4-ingredient pasta sauce, which is tomatoes, olive oil, salt, and garlic, and one other thing, it's through the roof.
Yeah, so I think the next thing for me to figure out how to tackle in I'm not going to go the grand scale that in my mind I'd like to do, but is some gardening, like cut some of the produce costs.
Yeah. Like when she comes home with all this stuff that I know I'm going to be throwing away, rotting in the fridge a couple weeks later, it looked good in there, that it was so noble to buy the organic 3 batches of spinach and the
I use the
greens
spinach.
and
Don't talk about my
yeah,
spinach.
but
But
all the other
but that's
stuff.
something I can grow. So
You know, will make me feel a lot better, because there's nothing worse than spending $500 and watching it go in the trash can, which happens with my cold cuts as well, because they get left out,
well,
they get hidden in the fridge.
most
You
of
don't
the
know.
stuff can go to the pigs at least.
Yeah, that's the
If
great
caught
thing
in
about having
time. They're
pigs,
like
is
an
that nothing
intermediary
goes to
trash
waste.
can.
So when your wife cooks this much food for a 3-year-old and
We're
a
getting out some angst
14-month-old,
here. Okay, guys, we're getting out
when
some.
you cook this much food for a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they eat this much food, pigs get a lot.
And then the feed bill goes down.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
I think the
Good
feed is
night,
cheaper.
tube guy.
Have a great night. Nice chatting with you guys. Thank you for the live stream. Hey, no problem. We love you guys, and really appreciate you. And I think we are ready to go to bed. Actually, we've made it
I'm
over an
ready for
hour.
bed.
All right. So pray us home.
All right. We'll have to pay for that SBV bank going bankruptcy. Yeah, that's a whole other topic that we didn't broach tonight. This was a happy one. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you now with humble hearts of gratitude, as always, for this community that shared this night with us. We are so grateful for each and every one of them and the time that they spend, that the love that they give us, the support they give us, and the prayers that they send our way. Lord, we recognize all of the blessings that we receive, those that go noticed by us and the so many others that go unnoticed. And as Jason often starts our day with his Bible study and just recognizing the kind of heart of gratitude that we woke up today, we have air in our lungs, our heart is beating. And for most of us, we still have a roof over our head and food on our table, even if it is getting more expensive. And we're just grateful that you've given us the provisions to be able to afford that and feed our family the food that we choose to nourish our bodies, Lord. Lord, in just a personal prayer, I just ask that you cover the appointment tomorrow with this baby, that the ultrasound shows good news, and that we leave that appointment encouraged, that the baby is healthy, that this pregnancy will continue, and just ask that you be with both of us, especially cover us if the news is less than that. As we move forward into this week, I cover everyone with a blessing of peace and health and safety, and pray that they give their best time every day to you, Lord, and lean into you with all of their needs, and anything that they are anxious about or stressed about or in need of, that they set that aside and just focus on you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Wow, you're turning into quite the prayer warrior.
Well, I have you as a role model.
Oh, well, holy smokes. I mean, you're crushing that. Isn't that great, guys?
Good night.
So good night, everyone. We love you. God bless.